Good afternoon to you. Maybe good evening to you. Depends on the time you are joining me this hour. It is Mayegun. Brunch time with Mayegun. Live. Brunch time with Mayegun is more or less like the snippet into what is still to come. Yeah, you can call it the headliner for all that is still to come. Read beyond the caption of the broadcast as usual. Read the description as well. Invite your friends, invite your not so friendly friends and tell them that Mayegun today. Everywhere they are asking you to endure. Endure. The Ronokus are even telling themselves and telling others. Tifnumbu is not responsible or is not the cause of your hardship. To some, they are even telling you that they are doing reform. They even brought this white guy to Nigeria to come and tell you that he's representing World Bank. Therefore, whatever you are going through right now, Baba, 15 years, you're still going to be going through it. That's what the guy said. So this Tifnumbu is doing reform, but the reform is only impacting you, the ordinary people. The politicians are not affected. The criminal politicians are and their family members, right? They are not cutting costs or living any austere life. Now you deliver. So they are telling, some are telling themselves that you see, whatever it is they are going through right now, there is going to be a reward for them in the future. That is 2039. I saw one yesterday and I said, no, we could leave everybody then. If you make it down to 2039, we'll go see them. World Bank. Today. So yeah, we're having a quick one this afternoon. I know it's quite morning in some part of the world, especially in America. Okay. So if you wake up to this and you're on your way to work, you can just listen to it on the side, right? Like you are listening to a podcast in your car or, yeah, maybe on your device. With your headphone or earpiece plugged in, you are likely going to enjoy it, I believe. It is brunch time with Mayegun, breakfast and lunch, call it. So yesterday they had a sort of, what do you call it, self-appraiser gathering in Nigeria, where they brought one guy, according to them, representing World Bank. Okay, and the guy told his listening audience, organized by Tifnumbu and his gang, that they are currently, whatever you are going through, they said Tifnumbu's reform. Which kind of reform is paying over 300% salary increase to public office holders, the judiciary, and then the people have been faced with hyperinflation, and they call that a reform. What kind of a reform is that? That allow the criminal political office holders to spend so much billions and billions on themselves, and the people are told that, you see, your hardship is going to last for 10 to 15 years. Listen to the guy.
Okay. But implementing such a far-reaching reform is impossible without solid political commitment from the top. The price of PMS has quintupled since the subsidy cuts, imposing terrible hardship across the breadth of Nigerian society. The central bank has had to hike its policy rate by a huge 850 basis points, that's almost 9 percentage points, in the last 9 months to boost confidence in the Naira and anchor inflationary expectations. But the central bank financing of fiscal deficits has finally ended. And Governor Cardoso has been putting Nigeria, or be helping to put Nigeria on the right course, on the correct course. But this is only the beginning. Nigeria will need to stay the course for at least another 10 to 15 years to transform its economy
nuisance lele.
So, then they deceive you now. To you, a typical sort of a dunderhead, Dundee Nigerian, you don't see a white person. I'm not sure even if it's a white or someone from somewhere, I don't know. So they brought somebody from the World Bank. World Bank, the ones that told Nigeria to float our currency, devalue our currency, right? The ones that also warned Nigeria that this subsidy that you told people that you are paying, I mean, you have stopped paying, but you are still paying it behind the scene. Now they brought this guy in front of you and he said, oh, Cardoso has put you on the right track. Therefore, this reform of removal of subsidy, which they are actually paying, you see, this is the kind of lies that sometimes when you ask yourself, what are you really sacrificing? They say, okay, they've removed subsidy. Only for you to hear later that they know they haven't. It's only that they removed those who were collecting it before and they are paying it now to another set of people. But they will come on the screen, right, to lie to 200 million people. I don't even know if that number is true, by the way. That population of Nigeria, 200 million people. I don't think that's true, by the way, because there's no scientific proof that the population of Nigeria is 200 million. Everybody is kind of running with that number. 210 million people. This madman, what he will never do in his own country, right, is there in Nigeria on a big podium. And he said, this fake reform, the reform where they were borrowing money to pay themselves humongous salaries, buying themselves private jets, right, buying themselves expensive bulletproof SUVs. Then to you that cannot afford petroleum and all that, right, you can go and convert your car to CNG. And this guy faced all of you and said, they have to continue like this for the next 10, 15 years. Now die on a day. There is no country. There is no country that will actually tell their people and say, listen, this that we are doing, we have to do it for the next 10, 15 years before Nigeria can now recover. No country, no economics in the world will say that. They will not stone you out of that stage, except in Nigeria. So the whole package for somebody to tell you that Kadobi is putting you on the right track, when behind the scene, it is actually like burying you. So I told people yesterday, I said, listen, maybe we can meet again in 2039. Tifnumbu spent $150 million in buying a private jet that added no value to Nigeria, nothing. For 17 months, they were only able to attract $29.5 million investment to Nigeria, 29.5 million. But they have been able to borrow over 6.8 billion from the World Bank. Yeah, they gave them the money, $6.8 billion. That is not invested in anything in Nigeria other than for the backdoor payment of subsidy and then probably for the reluting. You can't really say what they use their money for. They have printed over 20 trillion naira that they have pumped into that same economy that has caused so much hyperinflation already. They have taxed you almost to death, but you can't really point at what the money is being used for. They have increased the interest rate of banks. Yes, they have. Yet inflation continued to rise and rise. They claimed that inflation in Nigeria is at 32.7%. Lies. The inflation in Nigeria is more than 500%. Nigeria is like in a dead zone. And the World Bank is more willing and ready to give them more loans that are not invested in any of the critical sector of the economy. Do you know how much is $6.8 billion from just one lender alone in 17 months? $6.8 billion. And if I ask you, where do you think they invested that money? Where do you think Tifnubu put that loan in the last 17 months? Now go begin to foam in the mouth. But somebody from the World Bank, IMF, in Africa, that's where they are impoverishing the people through corrupt, kleptomaniac governments across Africa. World Bank as a yardstick of what economy should be like. There is no economy in the world that actually deals with World Bank. They will give Africa 30% interest rate, 40% interest rate. They give them ridiculous conditions. But when they are dealing with other parts of the world, you'll be seeing single-digit interest rates, 3%, 2%, 1.8% interest when they give loan to other parts of the world. But when it comes to Africa, right, you'll be seeing ridiculous conditions, including devaluing their currencies. So that madman went to Nigeria and told you that what Kadobi is doing, what Oduduwa Emefiole, and what Tinubu and Gang are doing, right, is putting you on the right track, and it will take 10 to 15 years. How many of you remember when I said, whatever you are going through right now in Nigeria, it is just like a warm-up. You know what is called warm-up? How much things are tough? Oh, a liter of petroleum is 1,300 naira. No. You are still going to pay up to 4,000 naira per liter, because they will keep giving them loans, and they will keep using your oil, your crude oil, and the future oil prospect. Okay, they will keep using them as collateral, because that's how they will continue to shrink your economy. Nigeria economy shrank from over $560 billion. Nigeria economy was supposed to be headed for like $1 trillion economy. And APC, Egbekebe, happened to you. In 9 years, with the help of these guys, Nigeria economy shrank by more than half. The economy of Nigeria now is valued at $260 or so billion. Do you even understand what that means? It's like wiping off the wealth of like 2-3 generations. You're never going to get that back. And they are saying it is still going to last for another 10-15 years. Rather than be scared and worried, some of them actually clapped like, well, if this guy says we are on the right track, then we must be. Right? Nigeria spent over $2 billion on subsidy. Importing fuel from Malta. Nigeria spent over $2 billion repairing and refurbishing your refineries. And yet, none of them is able to refine 1 teaspoonful of crude oil in the last 9 years by this APC. So that's when the Shettima came out and said, you see, we don't have any choice. Okay, we don't have any option. Tifnumbu and I, we are trying to put Nigeria on a solid foundation. Which foundation? What foundation? I was reading it somewhere that like it's shocking, that do you know that Bokwari never actually started or completed any single project in 8 years, despite the fact that Bokwari borrowed more than 60, in fact, put it this way, more than $80 billion. He printed 27.5 trillion naira. At the exchange rate of that time, 405 naira or 410 naira to $1. That is over $60 billion. And the money disappeared. Nobody can say that money that Bokwari printed was used in constructing Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, Kano Abuja Express, or Kaduna Abuja. We are now hearing that most of the projects that Bokwari was claiming to be commissioning, some of them still uncompleted. For example, Abuja Metro Rail, that you saw them like Jonathan, this was a Jonathan. They said some of these projects were like initiated projects since 2012, paid for by Goodluck Jonathan. And indeed, it was like, Stockholm syndrome is a very terrible thing. Oh, hey. Second Niger Bridge, all paid for by Jonathan before that election. Abi, Kaduna, Abuja Railway, the one that they eventually bombed, all paid for by Jonathan. What exact projects did you see all these ones that you are saying, these real improvement projects with China, all paid for by Jonathan? So how come they are able to kind of hide that away from all of you? Because it is APC, and that is why even the second Niger Bridge, with a design that was supposed to have, a railway, the way they designed the second Niger Bridge, with the way Jonathan and his guys designed it, it was supposed to be about 10-lane bridge, very tall, so that a ship can actually really pass under it, dredge the River Niger, and under that bridge, there was supposed to be a train track that would be from the western part of Nigeria straight to the eastern part of Nigeria, passing through that second Niger Bridge. Then cycle it straight to the Niger Delta area, and then circle around and go straight to area like Kogi and back to the north. Remember, Boko Haram had to cancel it. They had to redesign it to what almost a single boat cannot pass under it anymore. And yet they still didn't complete it. It is uncompleted. They did so much jamboree on it to make it look like a Boko Haram was building you second Niger Bridge. But rather than build you one, they actually destroyed the original plan. And yet they still didn't complete it. $62 billion printed by Boko Haram in 8 years. And there is nobody that can pinpoint to where or what they use the money for. Now, Tifnumbu don't come to initiate his own, at least he don't initiate a project called the Coastal Highway. The Coastal Highway that will cost over $11 billion. $11 billion. 15 trillion naira. That's how much they said they pay to ISPAL. Meanwhile, it was just another fraud, which would never really happen, so to say. And then the World Bank. Oh, the World Bank is telling you that you would have to kind of remain like this for the next 15 years. I don't know if you are ready, though. Well, you should be. I mean, what choice do you have? From what we now know, you are stuck with APC. Tifnumbu and his gang, they will use propaganda, finish you. I mean, you get to a stage whereby they will be talking about the contraption Nigeria, right? And you will be asking yourself and say, are they talking about this same Nigeria? Is it the same Nigeria they are talking about? Yes, it is the same. I'll give you more on that later though, right? So yesterday, we were inundated with the 18 hours delay or hostage-like situation where the Nigerian Super Eagles were diverted to an airport called the Al-Abqa or Al-Akba or something in Libya, in what was called the retaliation to what Nigeria did to them when they came to Nigeria, something Nigeria denied. So as we speak, the Libyan Football Federation, they are fuming that Nigeria boycotted the match and returned back to Nigeria. How dare you? That CAF should actually punish Nigeria for what they did by denying their fans the opportunity to watch a game, the qualifiers game, in their own country. So according to them, whatever the situation was, Nigeria was supposed to still stay back and play the game. Well, here is first, before the whole thing got really, really escalated, right? It's reported that they actually sent some government officials from Nigeria to go, sort of sort the problems with Libya but the way they were treated, I'll show you. Then the pilot that took Nigerian Super Eagles to Libya has some explanation. I don't know if you've seen this, okay? But here, check it out.
What do you mean? What? You must buy. You don't like that shit. All of us come out here. Come on. Come up, let's come everybody. No, y'all don't know, but no. Come on, Liverpool. Come on, Liverpool. No, Liverpool. Come on, Liverpool.
Leaving Nigeria for Libya yesterday. What was the point of arrival?
The flight plan was to land as destination Benghazi, Benina, but unfortunately, and we got the approval from the Libyan Civil Aviation Authority that we are approved to land in Benghazi, but unfortunately, when we start descent, they asked us to divert to Labreg, which is at almost 150 miles, that means 300 kilometers around more far, but it's at the east. So it wasn't our alternate, something which is not good, because in aviation we have our flight plan, we calculate the fuel to our destination, so we have to avoid this kind of thing, because it may make a breach to safety. And when I insist to land in Benghazi according to my flight plan and according to my authorization, they said no. It's from the highest authority. You have to land in Labreg al-Baida. So
the Libyans are saying that it was your discretion to land in
no. Everything is registered. In aviation, we cannot hide anything. So I asked them several times, at least 8 times, and I warned them probably I will be in trouble for fuel. They said it's from highest authority. You cannot land in Benghazi. You have to divert immediately to Labreg. Thank God we make it safely, and we landed safe in the other airport.
In the event that your company is asked to provide evidence, will you be able to avail?
Yes. All the evidences are in. All is documented in aviation. We cannot hide anything. This is our flight plan, so we cannot say something which is not wrong, because there is a lot of cross-check and a lot of redundancy in aviation. So they cannot hide this information or say other than the truth. The truth was we was going to Benghazi, and I can show you also the evidence of the approval. I have it.
Captain, don't worry.
Yes. So after that, they changed their mind, and at the last minute, they changed the airport. Even the airport was not. It's like a domestic airport. It's not well equipped. There is no ILS, no air nav approach, no VUR. So we make it visually to be able to land, because in case of go around, we cannot go anywhere. So it was our first and last chance.
And I heard that you've been in that area before. Was that problem?
Yes. Yes. Thank God I worked there for 2 years with Tunisian company. So I know the area very well, and it was not an easy matter at all.
Thank you very much for talking to us.
When a pilot will hear to me, he will understand that it was not an easy thing to land by night, visual approach with marginal weather, without ILS, without air nav approach, and without VOR.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank God.
Imagine that. They actually wanted to probably get all these guys killed in Libya. And it's going to appear like it's an accident. So what that pilot said was that they had all their papers cleared. They were supposed to land in Benghazi with, adequate facilities like the area control, the weather beds, the sizable airport sites and all that stuff. But he said like about 8 times, he had to confirm from the air controller that, what do you mean that we can't land? They said, we're from the highest authority. Highest authority in Libya told them that they must not let them land in Benghazi.